The next rule on our list here is the product rule, and what the product rule is if I have two functions that are multiplied by each other. So like, say I had like x squared times sine of x. This is not, when I take a derivative, this would not go to like 2x times cosine of x. It doesn't work that way. This does not happen. So here's what we say. If we have two functions, so it would be like x squared would be f of x, sine of x would be g of x. The way I find the derivative is with this rule called the product rule. It's f of x times g prime of x plus g of x times f prime of x. Now that's a very cumbersome thing to say, so here's how I'm going to say it. We're going to say the first here, and then it's times the derivative of the second. So first times derivative of the second, and then it's plus the second times the derivative of the first. So 1 d2 plus 2 d1, whatever way helps you to remember. But first times derivative of the second plus second times derivative of the first. So let's just go right into examples. And here it is again for us to look at. So in this case, we have two polynomials multiplied by each other. So when I find f prime of x, it's going to be the first, so I'm just going to rewrite the first, times the derivative of the second. The derivative of this guy is negative 2x. Plus the second, just rewrite it, times the derivative of the first, which would be 3x squared minus 4. And then from there, I should try to simplify this as best I can. So when I simplify this, this will become negative 2x to the fourth plus 8x squared. And then I got to FOIL this guy out. So this is going to be, I get a minus 20. I'm going to get a, what else do I get? I get a plus 15x squared. I should get a plus 4x squared, and I should get a minus 3x to the fourth. So let's even try to simplify that once more. X to the fourth, I have minus 5x to the fourth. I'm going to have here, how many x squareds? I have 8, 15, and 4, so that should become 27x squared, and then a minus 20 for my last part. So looks like a lot of work, but it ends up being a very simple, basic answer. More often than not, you're going to get things that look like these next three when we do these product rules. So like in this one, for h prime of x, the first is going to be x squared, the second is going to be sine of x. So the first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first, which would be 2x. Now, just that's fine the way it's written right there. I mean, I can put all these in parentheses if it helps. The more common way you'll see this last one written, it'll be, yes, x squared cosine of x. It's proper to put the polynomial part, the x squared or the 2x in front. So it would be written something like that. That's the more proper and common way for it to be written. All right, for this one right here, we have two different terms going on. I'm going to look at each one of them separately. So let's start with this first one. 2x will be my first, cosine x will be my second. So first times the derivative of the second plus the second, which is cosine of x, times the derivative of the first, which is just 2. So I can put that 2 out in front as a coefficient. And then don't forget, I also need to take the derivative of this guy. So the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x. And then I should look to try to simplify this. So I have this negative 2x sine x from the first part. I have a plus 2 cosine x and minus a simple cosine x. So this should give me plus cosine x for that part, for that final answer. All right, and then this last one here. What I'll do for this last one is same thing. I have two different things going on. So let's take first product rule of this first guy. So g prime of x will equal the first times the derivative of the second, which is cosine x, plus the second times the derivative of the first. Remember, the square root of x is the same as x to the 1/2, so that's going to be 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. Okay, so that's the part here that was in blue. Now, the second part here, which I'll do, I don't know, I guess in orange, I need to do the same thing. First times derivative of the second plus the second, which will be cosine x, times the derivative of the first. 1 over x is the same as saying x to the negative first, so this would be negative 1, and it'll be now x to the negative second power. And I should try then to combine all these, or at least simplify them, the way I would simplify it would be just like this. So I'll write it down here at the bottom. This first part I really can't simplify, square root of x times cosine x. This part right here, I'm just going to write it as 1/2. I'll make it x to the negative 1/2, or I could put that on the denominator, and then it's times sine of x. This part right here I would say is minus sine of x over x. And then for this last term, it would be minus, I would put cosine of x all over x squared as that part. Well, there you have some product rule examples, and remember, just always take a look at what is the first, what is the second, and remember the rule, first times derivative of the second plus second times derivative of the first.